Opportunity for Keith Haring is a blank advertising poster. Using a piece of chalk, the young man from Kutztown, Pennsylvania, draws a picture, a cartoon-like drawing which he finishes in a minute or two and then moves on.
Keith Haring was revolutionary during his artistic highs in the 1980s. Born on the 4th of May 1958, Keith would soon grow to become a key figure and influential icon within the art community and LGBT spaces after having moved to New York. He was just a man with a drive, a willingness to share a message, and a continuous need to draw. And draw he did. Where there was space, there was a target. No matter how big or small, any surface could be creatively exploited. Haring grabbed at the opportunity to underline a movement, to spread awareness, or evoke different feelings to those beholden of such illustrations. Whether the radiant baby, barking dog, or three-eyed monster, his iconography was splattered amongst canvases of any and all materials. If it could be reached, it was his for the taking. Keith Haring's work originated conversations, and most certainly drew attention. From the multiple occasions of arrests,
I have been handcuffed and arrested. Sometimes I'm just given $10 fines.
To murals or galleries that gathered audiences in the thousands. His growing stardom bred interest, embellishing the stark subways of New York to walls in Tokyo or water windows in Australia. His live paintings were performances to many internationally. And it all stems from the prose of his work. Words like compassion, love, equality, and all synonyms of such are the heart of his artistic defacements. With universally recognised symbols lacking in detailing, his works are not restricted nor prohibited to singular interpretations. His drawings can be anybody, they embody humankind. No matter race, gender, sexuality, size, age, or sex, the ideals of love are the same.
And I don't want to really disclaim anyone's idea of what it is or what it's not, because it's not really about it being right or wrong. You know, it's like anybody's idea is the right idea.
As he stated, the point of making art is to communicate and contribute to culture. A notion proven by the social issues he literally drew attention to. Joining the Free South Africa movement, Haring was a source of support towards the anti-apartheid movement, capturing the oppressive nature of racial segregation and discrimination towards black South African residents. His activism was indispensable, publishing artworks for numerous cities across the globe, often for charities, hospitals, children's daycare centres and orphanages, as well as quote-unquote polarising imagery that proposed a reinforcement on change towards subjects that were personal to his life. Having been impacted by the crack epidemic that ravaged New York City, his close assistant Benny sadly dying during the outbreak, Haring brought awareness to the cause through a mural on a handball court wall, visible from the Harlem River Drive. Painting the words big and bold, the exclamation "crack is whack" was executed illegally.
We don't do crack. We don't do that. Crack is whack.
And authorities sought his arrest for this mural, a piece of art necessary in showing supportive recognition towards the simmering socio-political environment. An environment which also gained notoriety associated with AIDS in the 80s. New York in particular was vulgar, stigmatizing and ill-educated towards AIDS, deeming it the gay plague of which Haring, a gay man himself, was condemned for. Haring reacted to the controversy, not with rightful anger nor pointed fingers, but by doing what he did best: drawing. He illustrated designs that highlighted the consequences of ignorance, produced awareness posters signifying the importance of safe sex, directing the distributed fear-mongering towards an attempt of enlightening those uneducated on the topic, and to substantiate the lies. He was not only putting out abstract thoughts, but trying to guide people to see particular things, and started to deal with more social concerns on a grander scale through the stardom he obtained, taking advantage of critical acclaim and giving a voice to those who were shunned and unaided. But among the support for charities and advocacy of human rights across several areas, Haring was also known to question the negative effects of capitalism and consumerism within artistic spaces. he continuously pushed for the need of accessibility, for everyone to have the opportunity to see and buy his work, not just wealthy, profiteering art collectors. Leading to the opening of the Pop Shop in 1986, a boutique in downtown Manhattan. Haring made a store built with the public audience in mind, showcasing and selling an assemblage of his work for all to see, selling buttons, shirts, prints and merchandise alike for more affordable pricing, especially for kids, and donating all profits to charities. Haring didn't see value in art through personal profits or monetary worth, but through viewing people of all walks of life appreciating his craft in their own ways that brought people together. Despite the backlash towards his financial decisions of the Pop Shop, Haring stayed insistent in making his work readily available at a low cost, even outside of the shop too.
But the whole idea of the Things of the Subway was that it should be for a lot of people, so I continue to do things like whenever I've had an exhibition in New York, there are posters which are given away for free.
As with many artists, however, Keith Haring's death was one far too early in life.
The AIDS epidemic has claimed the life of another major talent, this time from the world of art. Keith Haring, the best-known and best-loved pop artist of the 1980s, died in his sleep early Friday morning at his home in New York of AIDS-related complications.
At just the age of 31, Keith Haring passed away from AIDS in 1990. Since his death, Haring's name has lived on through his art. A year before his death, Haring established the Keith Haring Foundation, still thriving and helping people to this day. To quote the website, "In accordance with Haring's wishes, the foundation concentrates its giving in two areas: the support of organisations which enrich the lives of underprivileged children, and the support of organisations which engage in education, prevention and care with respect to AIDS and HIV infection." As such, there's been a rise in popularity regarding collaborations with Haring's art, especially with fashion brands. 2022 and this year alone in particular saw a boom in partnerships and brand deals. On the surface level, collaborations are supportive in nature. They spread an artist's name and their work, introducing them to younger generations whilst helping keep their legacy alive. But upon closer inspection, most collaborating brands I've researched who applies Haring's art to their products fail to mention his philanthropic ideals and the stances he stood for on their product pages or homepage. Some briefly mention his background, upbringing, or a simple sentence upon his style, but brands like Bershka, Pandora, Converse, Hollister, Tommy Hilfiger, Uniqlo, and Cotton On choose to avoid referencing Haring's principles and the social issues he aided, particularly for HIV and AIDS or his support towards LGBT+ issues. Rather, there's a censorship to his efforts. H&M summarising Haring's charitable nature to worldwide recognition for his extraordinary expressions and strong social messages, clearly worded to exclude political wording and keeping it safe. In fact, Uniqlo goes as far as speaking nothing on the causes he fought for, but desperately needing to mention his love for Mickey Mouse, which, arguably, he was inspired by the mouse's design, but Disney is far from the company I'd promote towards an artist who had anti-capitalist principles. Considering the issues Keith raised awareness of are still widespread concerns globally today, the decision to ignore and erase a fundamental importance on Haring's legacy leaves much to be desired, and reveals the true capitalist nature businesses view an artist's worth. Instead of using the opportunity to raise awareness like Haring once did, these collaborations feel materialistic and acquisitive. But fittingly enough, the collaboration with Tenga, a Japanese sex toy company targeted towards men, is the most open about Haring's activism of AIDS, including a more detailed description on the products page. Given Haring's openness regarding his own sexuality and his promotion towards safe sex during the AIDS crisis, it's perhaps the most suitable collaboration that speaks true to Haring's lifestyle. But what's more bizarre to me is the statement made by the executive director of Haring's foundation when confronted with this criticism proposed, being that they don't think it's fair to force a brand to tell a story that doesn't make sense for them, which is a questionable answer to say the least. The issues surrounding AIDS, racism and drugs etc. should not be seen as controversial enough for companies to dismiss Haring's legacy of activism. Sure, his more phallic art probably isn't suitable for a family-friendly store, but a more detailed highlight of his activism on sites would go a long way when profiting off his more tame artwork. To sell his art on products, especially at extortionate prices that go against the very being of Haring's desires, and not even mentioning a reference upon his ideologies, is where artists become another cog in the wheel of capitalist consumerism. Those topics they refrain from talking about shaped his life, shaped his style, and shaped the entirety of his work.
How has AIDS affected your work?
First of all, doing posters and images with the safe sex image, which was really geared to a general public and to sort of prevent and educate the next generation that's growing up and to, prevent them from being involved in the same thing. And then on a more political level, doing things like the ACT UP poster, which was more directly involved with AIDS activism and trying to sort of cut through a lot of the bullshit.
To retract the importance of Haring's activism that he held so close undermines his entire work. Instead, to those uneducated, his work may merely be funky squiggly lines, or a brand to wear because it's now fashionable or trendy. His work may not have strong meaning to those who don't research his life, because businesses see no issue in scrapping the context of his involvements in social movements. The life of an artist will shape what they do. And in the case of Keith Haring, a man seen designing over and over, painting for the world and hoping for the better, he deserves more in death. As is the case with many artists, companies view Haring's worth by the profits he gives them, when really, his worth should be depicted in the belonging he gave to those who lacked it, in the spirit he gave to those suffering, or for the carefree manner he approached art. An artist may pass away and their art may wither, but the messages they presented will carry on for as long as it's cherished by those it affected. And that is a real value that can't be sold.
I mean, I make lots of things that are on permanent or semi-permanent materials, usually paper or metal and plastic, wood, vinyl. But I like the idea of things lasting longer than you last.
Hey guys, thanks for watching to the end of the video. As always, I want to give a massive shout out to you guys and also to the people supporting me on Patreon. This was actually a surprise video. I didn't tell anyone about this. I worked on it as I was doing my Land of the Lustrous video, kind of as a break away from doing the manga editing, so I didn't actually have that much left to edit for this video, so I just decided to release it as a surprise. It was a lot of fun to work on. I actually haven't done a video kind of like this before, so if you guys enjoyed it, do let me know as well, because I'd love to do more. Also, the Gravity Falls giveaway is still going on my Patreon. I have been working on the Gravity Falls video as I've been doing this video and the Land of the Lustrous one, so that should be coming up hopefully within the next 4 to 5 weeks. But yeah, the giveaway is still available on my Patreon if you do want to join, and with that, I'll catch you guys on the next one.